Hello and welcome to this setup tutorial for the board game Code 3. If you'd also like to learn this, then I have a separate video for that. First, let's get ready to walk the beat. I'll be setting it up for 4 players. Also, this game has a few mistakes in it. I'll mention those in this video. There's nothing to worry about. Start by creating the city. Shuffle all these tiles and then randomly make a 4x4 grid like this, with the tiles face up, of course. Make sure to leave some room in between the tiles, because that's where the little police cars are going to ride through. For now, the city is done, so let's place some things around it. We have donuts. Here are the tokens. Where there's donuts, there's coffee. You have tokens for that. You also have these tokens that show a clock. And there are these black special tokens. You might need those. And finally, these crime scene tokens. You also have these little blue cubes. Make a supply of them somewhere. There are dice. You have this single 12-sided die. There are these white dice and this one black die. Next come the cards. There are many. Let's go for the nice ones first. You have this deck of Attaboy cards. No need to shuffle them. Just place the deck face up on the table. There are these commanding officer cards. These do get shuffled. When you're ready, place the deck face down on the table. Then take the top 3 cards and display them face up on the top of the deck, like this. You do the same for these training cards. First, shuffle the deck and place it face down on the table. Then take the top 3 and display those face up on top of the deck. Now come the bad cards. The first one is this. IA heat cards. No need to shuffle, just place them face up. Then you have these internal affairs interview cards. Before you shuffle them, you might have to remove some cards. For my 4-player game, I use all of them, but if you're with 3 players, you only use the cards that show 2 players and 3 players. Here are the icons for that. And if you're with 2 players, you only use the cards that are for 2 players. When you have the right amount of cards, shuffle the deck and then place it face down next to the heat cards, so you remember that these are the interview cards. And the final mean cards are these, the discipline. Shuffle them and then place them face down by the other bad cards. There are some cards that you'll be needing during the game. These small pink ones, take them all out and shuffle them. Keep them face down on the table. You have these other small red cards. Don't shuffle them, just put them out for now. There's this deck that shows all the characters that there are. They're separated per character, so don't shuffle. You have a few bigger cards that show all the police chiefs. Keep them out. You have this big deck of cards. These are all the stories you can choose to play. That'll come in a moment. You have some information cards. There's this card that explains what icons mean for when you succeed or fail in something. It's double-sided. You have this double-sided card that explains what's in the bags. What bags, you say? These ones, the blue bag and the red bag. In one bag you have all the evidence tokens. These ones that it shows on the evidence side of the information card have all these tokens in one bag. And in the other bag you keep the witness tokens. You can see which ones they are on the other side of this information card. You'll see it says the same thing twice here. But this shirt is actually called Average Joe. You'll need to know that during the game. Here are the tokens in the bag. The last cards are information cards for the players to help you remind you how to play the game. Give one to each player. It's time for everything for the players. That's actually not that much. Pick a color. I'll go for purple, so I get my 2 purple police cars. One of them stays with me to indicate I'm the purple player. The other car goes somewhere next to the police station. All the players place one of their cars somewhere around this city tile. But we're not alone. We have some help of other police cars. They drive around in these black cars. For my 4-player game, I only take 2 black cars. If you're with 3 players, you use 3 cars. If you're with 2 players, you use all 4 cars. However many players there should be 6 cars in the city. To decide where these black police cars should be placed, you roll the black die. Let's do this one first. This is the number. That number is also here in the city. So this car should go somewhere next to this tile. I'll put it here. And I roll for the other car. So that goes here. In this game, you'll be going through a story. So as a group, you should now choose which story you want to play. That's what this deck is for. For my very first game, I'll go with the most easy story. This one is called Cat Burglar. So I take out all the cards that say Cat Burglar. And all these other cards can go back in the box. All there's left is following the instructions on this very first card. It has the number 1 on it. First, I have to make the radio call deck. That's these little pink cards. According to the story card, for my 4-player game, I should use 50 of these cards. Let's just say this is 50. The rest goes to the side for now, and these 50 stay on the table as a face-down deck. The next instruction is set aside Cat Burglar and 2 neighborhood patrol cards. That's what this little deck of red cards is for. I take out the Cat Burglar card. Here it is. And these 2 neighborhood patrol cards. They stay out on the table, and these other red cards can go back in the box. Moving on. Each player starts with 1 coffee and 1 donut. So everyone takes a coffee token and a donut token. Keep them in your own area. Next it says, place story card 2 aside as the crime rate tracker. Here is card number 2 of the Cat Burglar story. That is placed face up on the table. And I take 1 of the little blue cubes to place on this card. For my 4-player game, it goes on this P4 space. Then it's time to pick one police chief. You can choose which one you want from these cards, or use the suggestion that's on the story card. This one says it's best to use Chief Jackson. Here is Chief Jackson. He's our boss and happy to help us during our mission. He stays out and the other police chiefs go back in the box. Each player should also choose 2 different police officers. Again, you can choose or look at the story card for a helpful suggestion. The first one says Detective Barclay and Sergeant Owens. They're all in this deck of police officers. Here's Detective Barclay. I take all the cards with that name on it and keep it with me. And here's Sergeant Owens. I take all the cards. The other players can take all the cards of 2 different police officers. If you search for Officer Garcia, that character won't be there. Instead, you should use Officer Villanueva. That's a little production fault. Feel free to pause the video if you need to find these characters. When everyone has 2 decks of 2 different characters, it's time to mix them up by shuffling them. Plus, every player should add 1 Attaboy card to their deck and 1 IA Heat card. Every player should now have 12 cards in their own deck. Shuffle it well and then place it face down to your left. Almost done. When we start the game, the city isn't crime-free. Things are already happening. Take out the little pink cards you set aside earlier. You should place as many of these in the city as there are players. So for my 4-player game, I place 4 of these cards. The card itself will tell you where to place it. Just look at the little number. In case there isn't a number but a question mark, then you roll the 12-sided die to decide where it goes. As soon as you've placed the card, look at this little number. That means you have to put this many blue cubes on the card. That's how much time you have to deal with this smaller crime. When you've placed all the little pink cards, the ones that you didn't use can go back in the box. All there's left is picking a first player, and you can start the first round of Code 3. The setup is done. If you'd like to know what to do, follow me to the tutorial. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment, and see you for the next one.